Okay, perfect. Hello, all. It is the November meeting of the Libertarian Party Mises Caucus of Ohio. Yeah, and we are just chugging on through. So, news since last time. Man, when was the last time?
I think it was in September.
Oh yeah, we did miss. I forgot we missed October. That was my bad. So then there's lots of news since last time. So since the last go around, we had another 3, 4 Mises Caucus people on the Central Committee, which is really good. And then we have 3 Mises Caucus people on the Executive Committee. We are now a significant portion of both, and I am happy to say it has been a pleasant experience for everyone involved. The Central Committee and Executive Committee are happy to have us, and we are happy to show up and volunteer. There is no bad blood. There is no hostile takeover. There is just cooperation and hating the state. Like, I mean, as much as I hate COVID lockdowns and all this mask nonsense and everything, like, Michael Sweeney's been around the party for a while. He is waging a one-man crusade against the Gahanna school board over their mask policy. I think his kids are homeschooled now, and he has still been like escorted out of the city, like the school board meetings twice by cops. Like, he is going hard, and like, as much as I hate this stuff, I'm not putting in as much effort as he is. And he is not Mises Caucus. He is actively anti-caucus, and that is the people that we have lots of in Ohio that I'm happy to work with. So yeah, it's going well. We the big news, of course, the election happened. I wish more candidates had won, but we still had, how many? We have now like 7, 8 elected libertarians in Ohio. We have more than we did. We had some wins. We had some losses. We had some underhanded tactics by certain unnamed city councils that led to some of our losses. But yeah, it's mostly going well. What else is big news? That the CRM, so stuff internal, Mises Caucus internal news, the CRM is on its way. We're gonna be a full-fledged technologically advanced caucus. It is now open season for applying to be a national delegate for Ohio, and with the amount of people that we had lined up, I think that anyone who does not hold a position within the party will not be able to get a seat as a national delegate. That's my guess at this point. And that is going to be very big news and a big change, because it used to be out of the 40-ish, maybe like 20, 30 were just random members. And now, like, I think some of the random members that applied in like the very first couple days will get in. But besides that, it's only people higher up, which means some people that have been around the party for a while are not going to get seats. And I would not be surprised the Mises Caucus has at least half of them. But I don't know. It's all pretty up in the air with Ohio. We won't really know who is who until 2 months before the national convention. If you know that you applied really early and you have a high position within the party, so that would be county chair or up. So county chair or central committee or executive committee or something like that, or like a state level director position, you are guaranteed a spot, especially if you applied early. If you're anything below that, maybe. I think that you have a really good shot, especially if you applied early. Yeah, Drew, you ran as a candidate. You are pretty high up the list. I think you got
I'm also county chair too.
Oh, if you're county chair, you have. There's only.
Yeah, and I applied immediately.
Yeah, you're good. I sent you guys out the list before Helen released it to anyone. Then I was like, here's my like all of my timings of like, I'm gonna do this day and like send it out that day. And then Helen just blasted to Rocket Check and like, I'll just send it out to everyone. Let me pull it up.
Yeah, I think I filed like within like 40 seconds of you sending out the email.
Nice. Yeah. I had maybe 50-ish people on that first email for it. So yeah, I think that all the spots are going to go. And that means some people like, I'm not sure Chrissy is going to be a delegate to National Convention, which is, she's a great volunteer, but it'll be interesting. Read online. Other stuff, I need so I'm going to be submitting a bunch of potential changes to the state constitution and bylaws this next convention. And it's fun because there is the bylaws committee that's like writing their own changes, but they've asked that I do it separately because we're essentially going to commit to submit 2 versions of changes, and I have to write it mostly on my own. It sucks. But yeah, so the delegation chair, top priority, but there's only one of those. It might be me if I really hate myself. Members of the state central committee, there's only 20 of those, and I don't think all of them are applying. State executive committee, another 6 of those, and most of those in the central committee anyways. LP incumbents, there aren't many of those. Those are state directors, there aren't many of those. I think up to this point, we only have, we might have 15, 20. So if you are a chair of a county committee, you're pretty much guaranteed a spot. But I don't know how many of those are applying. So I wouldn't guess more than 10. There aren't any of these. There aren't any of these. There aren't any of those. There aren't any of those. LP candidates for local office. I don't know if you're still, because you ran, but you're no longer a candidate right now. So I'm not sure if that still counts or not. I think it would. Yeah, so I'm not sure if these count or not. And then we don't have anybody in the LNC in Ohio except for Dustin, and Dustin is also other things. He's guaranteed a spot. And then this would be anyone, like if you're in a county role and your county just appoints you as like a director, which is a really good way. If you want to be bumped up the list and you want to be involved, but you're not willing to be president, treasurer, secretary, or also like they already had their election, you can just be asked to be appointed a director role of pretty much anything. And the benefit, and it isn't just a thing for you to like play politics. It is a thing to benefit both sides, because people given a role normally do more volunteer work than those that aren't. You're given a specific role with responsibilities, but for your side, you now have legitimacy. Like this is the thing that would happen with Chrissy. She would go to a bunch of like protests as like libertarian presence, but she didn't have an official chair position. So what Franklin County did is we called her the director of communications. And now she can say, I am the Franklin County Libertarian Party Director of Communications. So essentially it's just giving you a title to put more oomph behind your name. And it also bumps you up the list, because if you are in these groups, you're probably not going to make it in. But yeah, that is the national stuff. And I need to book my flights and tickets and stuff, because I know I'm guaranteed a spot because I'm on the central and executive committee of the state. But yeah, that's some fun stuff. What else?
Hey, Drake, sorry, I don't mean to take us off topic, but just a second.
I'm not on topic, don't worry.
Do our Mises Caucus events ever make it on the LPO calendar?
Mhm.
Because I didn't see next Tuesday's on there, the 23rd.
So here, I'll actually just show how to do this. So this is something that I need to add to the web for the how you run LPO stuff, for like how to add our events. So anyone can submit them to the calendar. So all you do is you log in at, what is it, my.lpo.org. If you have your login to the Rocket Chat and everything, that gives you your login access. Actually, sorry, wrong site. You go to lpo.org and then you log in here. So if you are a logged in libertarian, which I can be in 3 seconds, if my buttons work. There we go. There we go. I have a bunch of extra access because I am doing some IT stuff for the party now, which is fun. But if you just log in, you can submit an event. So anyone can submit an event. They actually are constantly looking more people to submit events, and it's not crazy hard. It's just something that I need to write a how-to document on submitting the socials to make it easier for our social organizers to just go through and like put this on Eventbrite, put this on this document and put this on our internal Mises Caucus calendar. It's on my to-do list. I might just do it in the end of this meeting. I'm gonna just do it at the end of this meeting while you guys watch me to make sure I don't slack off. That's my way of getting stuff done. Oops, sorry, say it again.
I said we know the drill.
Yeah, this isn't the first time that's happened. It works. I wish I was working in person. I prefer it so much. I also finally have keys to the office now. If anyone ever wants to go in and help me clean out a bunch of stuff, like there's some old paraphernalia and stuff. But okay, I'm getting totally off topic now. So back on topic. Other Mises Caucus news. I'll give. I'm gonna say the things I'm gonna talk about, and then we can actually go into them in detail because they're all gonna take a while. So one piece is the Libertarian National Committee stuff on Karen and Harlos. One piece is all of the states like Vermont, Delaware, Wyoming, Pennsylvania. I think there's maybe another state that are all freaking out. Texas a little bit, all that stuff. Then post-libertarians. I think that's it. I think those are the other three pieces of news. Is there anything else that I'm missing? I'm going to write those down really fast to make sure I actually hit all of them. Let's see. States. Yeah, but that's really most of the other stuff was kind of the core stuff for Ohio. We don't have too much happening. The other states are all freaking out and going crazy because they have national state conventions to plan. Ooh, I should say the state convention for Ohio is not scheduled yet, but it will be one of the last 2 weekends in April, probably. And we will be pushing hard to get people out there to help make our state constitution and bylaws not suck. Because I want to abolish the Central Committee, and I'm happy to say that loud and proud. And if you know anything about the Central Committee, you agree with me. And if you don't want to. Let me put it that way. It's only been a source for drama and pain in our party and lawsuits. So LNC Karen Ann Harlos, she was suspended by the LNC. Then the Judicial Committee reviewed this decision and seemed to mostly vote. There were some better votes and there were some worse votes. I think if you want a good opinion on it, you should read the one by what's her name? She was the VP president a while ago. She wrote Mary Ruart. She wrote an excellent opinion. I would recommend reading it, going through how blatantly rule breaking what's happening was, how Joe Bishop Henchman and others had been conspiring since 2019 to remove Karen and Harlos from the party, how they are scummy, awful individuals in a bunch of ways, and all this. She has a really great breakdown of that. As someone that's like respected and also respected for telling the truth, I'd recommend that. But yeah, and then but the rest of the LNC did other nonsense, especially Vermin Supreme, who respect less and less, which is unfortunate. But yeah, so that happened. There's some other stuff floating around about it, but at this point, that's pretty much done. But the pushback, the repercussions for what the LNC did there is now, because Karen and Harlos was suspended for exposing the corruption of Joe Bishop Henchman and making him resign, and that is in the words of the LNC, not mine, not exact. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but if you read what they said, that's essentially what they said. People are speaking up less about the other things happening because she spoke up about New Hampshire, and now with Delaware, just as much nonsense is happening and people aren't speaking up as much in the LNC because Delaware I think, and I'm getting them mixed up a little bit because there's so many states things happened in a row. So Delaware, the state committee voted to kick everyone out of the party, including themselves, then voted themselves back into the party, and then voted to create like a white list where only people whose names are on this list are allowed to be members of the state party. And it's gotten worse from there. So that's Delaware, if I remember right. Vermont, Archie Flowers' home state. I'd recommend watching his debate with Dave Smith if you enjoy one-sided beatdowns. I can show you some fun stuff where he has since compiled his real evidence about how transphobic whatever the Mises Caucus is, and it is weak.
Nothing beats the Archie Flowers moment when he was on the Fakeitarians episode with Nick Ashley, and he mutes himself, and he has like his one rant of the whole episode, but he accidentally mutes himself, so he's just sitting there going,
"Oh my god!"
They're like, "Archie, buddy, you're muted," and he couldn't get his moment back after that. It was so funny.
Oh, that I almost want to watch an episode of Fakeitarians now, but I don't think I'm going to subject myself to that.
It's
But no,
the only one I've ever watched.
The evidence that I saw, that's his most recent really damn piece of evidence that he was sending out to people by Dropbox, was a 2-minute long screen recording where he showed that Dave Smith retweeted something about like war crimes are worse than people being transphobic. And the Mises Caucus liked it. And
Yeah,
that was
something that needs to be disputed on TikTok or something like that, you know?
It was a 2-minute video, and that was literally all that was in it. Like I was like, where's the rest of it? It's just like him scrolling. Yeah, no, it hurt to watch a little bit, but hey, but yeah, so if you are in Vermont, the join link on the state party website has been removed, and to join the party, you have to personally talk to him on Zoom.
That's a price too high.
Yeah, there has been, in certain states, certain people may or may not have been advised to talk about how much they love Joe Jorgensen when applying to join the party. Maybe. I'm not saying this for sure. No one's saying this for sure, but it might have happened. But yeah, so that's, and then like Wyoming had something happen, and Pennsylvania is going to be a absolute shit show because they're the one that still allows for out-of-state people to vote. So both sides are gathering forces to see who all can show up in Pennsylvania. And I'm planning on showing up there because I am a registered member of the Libertarian Party of Pennsylvania. And I will be showing up and I will be voting to say I cannot vote, and then I will be leaving. Because I don't want out-of-state people voting for a state, because that's stupid. It hurts me. I don't like, literally, if all the out-of-state voters meant the Mises Caucus won and kicking them out meant the Mises Caucus lost, I wouldn't care. I just want to remove out-of-state voting from that state. That's what I want. All I want. So yeah, so there's all that, and literally, I am probably messing up or misinforming you a bit because it came out so fast. I don't know what's going on at this point. In all honesty, like,
I'll be there at that meeting too.
Nice. Yeah, there's a lot of people on board with that agenda. So anything about that stuff? Anything you want to say? Any feelings? I'm gonna mute myself so I don't keep talking forever.
To vote in Pennsylvania, do you have to do anything registry wise ahead of time?
You had to be registered like 3 months ago. Technically, they could waive the 6-month requirement rule, but they didn't last time. So
Right. Now let's jump into the post-libertarians.
Yes. Give me 1 second to pull up. Yeah, so if you, okay. So how to say this?
Hey, guy.
I'm trying to think of how to say this well. Some of what I'm going to be saying, so with the Mises Caucus generally, all of the states are relatively decentralized. There is some stuff that like we would get pushback if we did. There is some stuff where there are lines that we could cross that would get us disaffiliated as like a affiliate of the National Mises Caucus. But generally, we are kind of left a bit to our own devices. Like there is a whole controversy. New Hampshire LP tweeted something, and people in Texas are freaking out and attacking the Mises Caucus. And like, but the Mises Caucus in Texas does not tell the Mises Caucus in New Hampshire how to run their Twitter, kind of thing, right? There's working together, there's advice, there's constructive criticism, whatever, but it does like, we are given some license. And so with that said, I don't speak for the national LP, but I think I speak for the state LP a bit when I say a bunch of this post-libertarian stuff is just nonsense. Not all of it, but some of it definitely is very confused. Like, and I appreciate some of it more than others. Like Jason Stapleton, I've gotten a bunch of value from listening to his stuff. I think that his recommendation of the richest man in Babylon and all this stuff, like I think he's done a lot to help people's lives. And I think that saying you should work on yourself, clean, essentially saying clean your room financially and all that makes sense. And although I guess that kind of wouldn't preclude you from them like helping out others when you're in a good spot, kind of thing. So there's stuff that I agree with more, stuff that I agree with less. Like I do think that, hey, once you're in a good spot, if you want to do charity work because you want to help people, if you look at how effective various charities are, systematic legal change to improve things, like the Libertarian Party ticket, is actually one of the most effective charities in terms of value per dollar an hour spent in terms of improving lives. And this kind of thing, which would be like my general argument against them. But then there's others that are more confused or more contradictory, like a bunch of big criticisms that will be made of the Mises Caucus by post-libertarians were unrealistic. And then they're like, well, really, what we need to tell everyone now is focus on local elections and local politics. And it's like, I agree. That's literally what we've been doing. That was literally the founding documents of the Mises Caucus in what, 2016, 2017. Like, we have 3 planks. Plank number 1, I think it's number 1, is local, like do only local politics. So they're like, this is some new big revelation. It's like, I agree with you, but why are you criticizing us for doing the thing that you're saying is a good idea for 3 years longer than you've been doing it?
Yeah.
Right? That's my feeling about that.
I mean, I don't have strong feelings about Jason Stapleton one way or another. I know very little of his material, but when him and Dave Smith had their discussion, Dave really nailed him. I'm like, okay, you're saying this is a waste of time. We're wasting our effort. Aren't you, by logic, then wasting your time and effort by focusing so much on us? Like you're going out of your way to shit on the Mises Caucus every chance you get. Why aren't you focusing on building your own wealth or building other people's wealth or anything? It's like, why do you care so much? If
Yeah.
we're relevant and we're wasting our time, let us waste our time. That's going to be our loss.
Yeah, and there's, and I know they have arguments like, oh, well, who started it and who didn't. There's all this back and forth. And I also get it that it's kind of like, we are the big, growing, energetic movement with people and support and funding, and hopefully not as much funding as I'd like, but hopefully more funding every day. So it makes sense if you want to, you punch up, and I get it. And that feels like that's what they're doing, because whenever it seems like these people are like very often, especially when they get together, talking about this. Like, I mean, I was at Thad Russell's event in Lockhart, Texas, and you get three people, all of whom like seem interesting. Like Matt Erickson, Buck Johnson, and like Though Bishop, or I don't know Matt Erickson or Matt's stuff, so I don't know. Okay. I don't know his stuff. I just know he worked with his own Templeman, so I was like, I
can't
better.
stand Matt. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
that's fair.
I can't stand Matt.
But it's like you get three of them together, and it's like, okay, what neat, interesting things are you going to talk about? And it's like I walked up and went over to a different section of the event after they spent like 45 minutes bashing the Mises Caucus. It was like, okay. And then
Well, did anybody watch Matt and Vin Armani on Clint's show earlier? I think it was early summer.
Yeah. Yes.
I didn't
Well,
know
you want
that
freedom? Just make more money. You
So
can
even
go
at
where you
the-
have more freedom. That's your choice.
So Drake, you're saying even at the Lockhart event, they were like, at some like table or like a
Yeah, so they had a round table, like where it's like, hey,
Oh.
we have the mics after the main speakers. It was like there were like three smaller things happening at once, and one was them recording an episode of Clint's podcast. I'm sorry, Buck Johnson's podcast. That's my bad. I mix up names. And that was what they talked about. You have two people that you probably don't see often that are finally visiting in person for a neat big event, and the thing that really you care about and are focused on is the Mises Caucus. And if anything, I think that says that we're kind of doing pretty well if we are living rent-free inside your heads. But hey.
Yes.
I just think that their whole pitch, it doesn't follow through, because their philosophy is that everyone should focus on themselves, building their own wealth and becoming bigger influences themselves. The reality that I don't think they're incorporating into that theory is that once people, like, let's say I go from being Mr. Plumber to fucking $350,000 a year, I'm some giant entrepreneur that's my interests, then giving myself, just by the wealth alone, giving myself more liberty, my vested interest in the liberty of others declines sharply. So if all of us that are currently in this thing just start gradually building our wealth or whatever and becoming these successful entrepreneurs, our interest, as much as we'd like to say, oh no, I'm going to stay true to my values, no, your interests are going to reflect based on your reality. And when it's not an issue for you to have that liberty as a very successful rich person, I don't like, it's just, I hope that makes sense. It just, it doesn't follow through for me.
Yeah,
I think you're saying like the incentives would change as you get wealthier, which I think that's right. There's a dynamic between the incentives of an environment and the principles of a person, I suppose. And we all like to believe that we're all principle and no incentives, but the reality is usually you're I'm not going to say 50-50. I don't know what the ratio is, but usually it's less positive than we think. But I don't know. There still are people who get wealthy and manage to be charitable or like continue to do what they want. But I also think like, so yeah, the whole idea is you're going to get rich and then now you have this bigger sway, which I actually agree with. I think like not necessarily as the primary tool for growing the libertarian movement, but just as a thing you should do. It's like, if you really care about liberty, mostly you probably care about it for yourself and your family and whatnot. And that's probably the number one way to grow your own liberty and the immediate people around you, as opposed to hoping for huge change that is somewhat out of your control.
I agree. Yep.
But like also, I think that's what's not really incorporated in there, maybe in either one, because the Mises Caucus, we focus a lot on, well, not strictly the Mises Caucus, but I guess the Libertarian Party, we focus on, well, in Mises, like the local elections, the spreading the word and stuff. I think something like focus on like becoming, not just the becoming a better entrepreneur, becoming wealthy or something like that, but becoming a better conversationalist, becoming like growing your social circles, being more persuasive, that sort of thing, not coming across as the enemy when you talk to people who have different beliefs as yours and such things as that. I think that gets overlooked.
Yeah.
Influence and wealth aren't always the same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree. Like, how to say this? If all of my investment in here made me miserable and worse and poorer and everything, then it's like, yeah, I think you have a point. But I think that while that does happen to some people, I think that happens to many movements to some people. And that if you can become self-actualized, like, yeah, first you take care of yourself, but then people like giving. Like I try to go to give back because I value making other people's lives better and reducing the number of people starving to death. Like I actually value that. And also I think that this is a way to build some level of community and relationship. Like there are a couple people in the Mises Caucus who I've referred for jobs. And there are also, like, being involved in this. If you are having issues with your work and COVID mandates, I can give you the number of a person that's helped like 5 people get religious exemptions. And I can give you the name of a lawyer who's fighting this stuff and like so on. It is actually like, while it is good to build your own wealth, if you're just off on your own doing solo things, it's hard to build a community. And I think that the Nomad Network, that stuff, that whatever Jake Stapleton is doing is good, but I think that this is just as valid a way of doing that, and having an overarching driving cause that brings us together makes us in many ways more effective at that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Liberty's made me wealthier and healthier.
And I get some of the appeal of wanting to work with the Republican Party versus the Libertarian Party. I don't know. And if people want to go that route and they don't have no interest in staying with Libertarian Party, then I wish them luck. And if you can turn some people to more liberty-minded, leanings, then by all means, that's a good thing. I feel like so many of them, the post-libertarians type, are willing to sacrifice some of the key philosophical foundations, like the non-aggression principle, like this and like that. And I know you can throw that out there, people roll their eyes and like, all right, we don't want to talk about theory anymore, we've lived in a real world. But those principles kind of matter as to why the rest of what we believe falls in line. So when you sacrifice that, it really makes me wonder, okay, what else are you willing to sacrifice, and how long before you're just another status? I don't know if that's going to happen, but that part worries me.
Well, but I think it's even bigger than that. It's what I hear from these people, like I've heard from Andrew at Popular Liberty and a few others, is because you have the libertarian label, you are locked in with working libertarians and won't work with the GOP. And that's just not true.
Mm-hmm.
The Libertarian Party of Ohio goes into the offices of Republican state senators. We have a few that we work with, that we help like write legislation, and same with a couple of Democrats. Like, no, we actually have a bigger seat at the table than if I was some random nobody, because now I am like a state level official that's worked with these groups, that talks to the state house. Like it's not accurate to say that we are not able to work with the GOP or DNC, and that we don't lobby them, and that we don't collaborate with them, and all of this. Like it's ahistorical. They're asserting this without evidence.
Mm-hmm.
It's just... No, but there's a bunch of that going on. I'm trying to think what there's another one I was thinking of. Or another thing is, it seems that one of the big things causing this, and this is what I heard from like Mark Claire, who I really respect, and I've given to his podcast for a long time. It's like, for them, it was a game and fun and a hobby. And now, oh, this tyranny can happen to me, and now I'm serious. And I guess it's a little bit frustrating, because like one of the things that made me ramp down a bit of liberty activism I was doing was I like injured my hand from punching a wall, because I was just like so outraged about stuff going on in Yemen, which is when I realized I should dial back my news consumption and stuff. But I've lived in third world countries, and I know about the millions of people dying a year because of stuff like climate change policies. I know about the starvation and the death, and like all the lives getting worse, and all the people locked in jail, and all these things happening. It's like, yeah, it's been serious. It's a bit worse right now. In some ways, it's better right now, but you weren't taking it seriously. I was. So I get it. Right now, you're like, oh, it's serious now. So now I need to do the serious thing. It's like, well, some of us were doing the serious thing, and I'm happy to have you join us. Happy to work together, but it's like, just because you were now taking it seriously doesn't mean that I need to change my strategy. It might, and I'm happy if they have a better strategy. I am all on board a better strategy, but it's not that simple.
Mm-hmm.
You know what that sort of weirdly reminds me of, and it's gonna sound kind of weirdly is enough. But I get what you're saying, because there's sort of these new people hopping on like, holy shit, oh man, we got to do something. It's like, yeah, we've been doing something, you know. But it's sort of like this weird thing that happens with like drug addicts. Like what'll happen is, this is what they used to do before you did intervention with like the whole family. They would just bring the drug addict in, or like alcoholic, whatever, in for, you know, therapy. And then he'd come back and he'd be like, turns out I need to stop drinking, and like this isn't good for me. And then the wife, usually assuming it's a woman, which is the more typical dynamic, would be like, you know, I've been trying to stop you to get drinking. She'd be so upset that she would actually pressure him back into drinking, which is kind of weird. I don't know exactly how that analogy plays into this, but it reminds me how it's like, yeah, I've been fucking telling you this thing for years, and then now you act like it's some grand revelation that just like appeared from somewhere else. But yeah, I think it's kind of like, kind of just cheer them on. Yeah, no, you're right, this is a big deal. Yeah, someone should, oh, look at that, we've been doing it.
No big deal now, but just saying, you know, years and years. But
And it is every like 2 or 3 years someone comes along with like this, oh, like that. What was the guy that was like making the rounds in podcasts like 2 or 3 years ago that had the if we just use a what is it, like a crypto wallet style, what I'm thinking of, a blockchain style government. We replace the federal government with some blockchain system where everybody actually controls laws and something massive, big fix, implement this with a certain number of signatures, now everything's fixed.
that sounds like something Ian Crossland would say.
Yeah, and that was a thing going around. There's been a few of these, and it's just like, they show me what you've done. And that's, they call themselves praxis, and I can point to what I've done. I can point to my libertarian libertarian mayors. I can point to like laws changed. I can point to this stuff, and they say they're all about praxis, and I say, please show me your praxis, and I don't see it. And I've been having an ongoing beef with End of Proper Liberty, which I think he's going in the right direction in a lot of ways. We've both been listeners to part of the problem for a long time and all this stuff. And when he was on Pete's podcast, Free Man Beyond the Wall, which would recommend listening. I don't listen to every episode, but there's a few that I enjoy. He kept talking about, oh, he isn't getting any pushback on the anti-tax and on the archotropism framework. So I wrote an article and pushed back and sent it, and he responded. And there are some things I got wrong because he hasn't actually gone through and explained his anti-tax ever. He hasn't written a real piece on it. So of course I got things wrong. And he has since called me out for embarrassing myself publicly. It's like, I'm not embarrassed from getting things wrong. I'm supposed to get things wrong. It's called learning. And I've sent my response to him again. I'm hoping to hear back, but I did more digging. So as far as I can tell, his math doesn't work. I don't think his incentives work. On that one, I'm not entirely sure on. I think his plan has a lot of convoluted extra pieces going on, which kind of fail. So, but maybe in 80 years, his anti-tax thing would actually work. And it's also illegal in every state where I check state law, which none of those work very well. And especially if you're saying, oh my goodness, everything's burning, we need to do stuff right now. So here's my plan. In 25 years, it'll make a difference. I'm like, 25 years. I thought your problem was that our solution was too slow. And I'm sending my next rebuttal, hoping it goes well, hoping to hear from him. And maybe I got things wrong and he has a better solution. And if so, I'm happy to hear it. But I do like that when in his response article to me, he put my name in quotes. It's this Drake fellow, and then calls me out on podcast for embarrassing myself publicly, because, you know, if you ever get anything wrong, you embarrass yourself publicly. And I'm going to not point out all of the things. I shouldn't do it. But when he says that, I then just get this urge to point out everything that he says publicly, which is demonstrably wrong. No, I'll just do two. He wrote case and point in his article. It's case in point. That's wrong.
Rick. All right.
No, and the other one, he put up this tweet that every like some joke thing about like, oh, maybe we should have a system where everybody who has an over 20% body fat should be forced to exercise or leave the covenant community. And it's like, you realize that 20 to 30% is the healthy body fat range for females. Yeah, so I'm gonna stop talking. I'm gonna someone else say things.
Brad's in the house.
But we do have more people just signing up for the Mises Caucus. I just need to onboard all of them faster, and I am bad at that. I am shit at onboarding calls.
How's the list coming along?
People are being added to it faster than we're moving them off it. And we need to hurry soon, because once it gets above 500, you can't send an email to more than 500 people on Gmail. So that's our hard cap that we are. And I think we're at 490.
Really?
Yeah. Here, let me check.
Wait, is this just coming from the spreadsheet or from something else?
Yeah, it just every time someone signs up at the Mises Caucus website, they get added to our spreadsheet, and we are currently at 489. And I am not. It would take me so much energy to get through and call people. I'm just not built to do that well. I don't know. It's an excuse. It's true. If anyone wants to sign up to do more volunteer work, hey Drew, you're free now, right?
I was just gonna say I have Wednesdays and Sundays, my friend.
Yes, I guess that's getting back to business. Oops, sorry. Go ahead.
I just saw my girl Heidi's name came over on the drip notification the other night.
Yeah,
I reached out to her when I saw that.
So Rex put together a great onboarding document that like our organizers can just kind of take a name and call through it and go through that to get people on this. I also need to go through and actually call everyone that filled out the survey that we haven't called yet, because there is a group of those people, not a massive group, but there is a group of those people who are kind of high priority, and I keep missing them. But yeah, we need to have another state organizer meeting sometime. But that is something that if anyone is interested, we always need more volunteers for that. But yeah, it is going well. We just, I guess I shouldn't complain too much about having too many people sign up as interested. That is a little bit of a difficult problem to complain about. Yeah. Ooh, okay. I'm thinking for December, probably just going to have a Zoom social, because I'm out of the country for a bunch of the month. And it's December, everyone's traveling and stuff anyways, and snow on the roads. But besides that, I am now the financial director for the state party. At some point that happened. Don't ask me why. One of my big policies, I'm going to make it so that libertarians can actually make money fundraising. So just a heads up, that's coming your way. But would you guys like to see the state host an event? And then probably be state and maybe Mises Caucus also. There's a new dispensary, Delta 8 dispensary that opened up right next door to the state office of the Libertarian Party. And
It's next to the Franklin County, right? Or is that the state office?
It's both. Yeah, Franklin County
okay.
Borough is the state office.
Yeah, I was in there right before the meeting, and I showed up early because Drake marks his events 15 minutes early on Google Calendar.
Otherwise, I'm
shared it
late.
with me. And so I just showed up there, and then this guy's like, "Hey, how's it going?" It's like, "Hey, what's up?" And he has this dispensary they just opened, so he gave me some Delta 8 I've never smoked before. He gave me like a free blunt for leaving him a review. So it's just kind of sitting on my shelf waiting for me to get my door kicked in or some shit.
Right.
But
He also gave.
I don't know, man. I didn't feel too much from one hit of Delta 8, so maybe I need like 3 or something.
But with that said, he said we could borrow his space for free, because and probably just people that come just buy some gummies, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You guys want us to throw a party? You got a karaoke machine?
I think we should.
Okay. I just need to Do it. Or should we
Beware of
just
the
do it at the
karaoke
bar?
machines. I might destroy the speakers.
It's fine. Everything's fine. But yeah, no. So either that, or we can do a bigger place. I mean, I don't really know. Maybe we should send out a survey and figure out how much interest this is. But yeah, we'll say, hey, we survived 2020. Yeah, we'll have a 2021 survival party. We're all still alive after 2021. Maybe January, February 2022. Throw a party.
It's probably big enough. The venue, I mean, well, not really venue. The little store is like, I don't know, they got like 3 tables and they're kind of small, but it's got probably a dozen seats. And some people can be standing in the area, some people sitting.
Yeah, and he had a back room and stuff. That, or we can always just, I'm lazy. I like Pins Mechanical because it's right next to my apartment.
Yeah, but
Oh, okay. It all makes sense now.
Yes, that's why it keeps coming up on the Franklin County stuff. There's a reason, and it's a great reason, and it's because it's convenient for me.
You don't even have to drink and drive.
Yep. But yeah, so it sounds like there's interest. So then that'll be the plan. Something January, February, throw a big party, invite the whole state, and just say, let's have libertarians get shit faced. I will say, if you guys, the state conference was a party. It was fun. I was not expecting that level of party at the after party. Although I was very disappointed, and Trish, I'm looking at you. I came home with so much alcohol. You guys said you drink. You don't even know how many bottles I have left from that? I don't drink. I just have all these bottles on my shelf because libertarians don't drink enough.
I don't
Well,
know why they didn't
there's all our
come.
alcohol for the survival party then. Problem solved.
yeah.
I'm not sure why we didn't have as big.
Yeah, the second night, like they did the thing with Spike and his wife going out to the escape room. Well, wasn't there was some like other party going on that I didn't realize was happening because it
Right.
was organized on Twitter or something. Oh, actually, I'm gonna say my final criticism that I would say for most libertarians. Fuck Twitter. Just conceptually, like functionally, it's not good. Social media are not good for you. They do not increase your productivity. They do not increase your life happiness. They do not increase your joy. They're not that effective at converting people. I think that it is like a thing of marginal stuff. So it's like, hey, if there were 0 libertarians on Twitter, one big voice would make a difference. But there are plenty on there. Spending all your time on there, writing stuff in there, writing really short form things on there and not actually laying out your ideas in longer pieces is just kind of, it's not good. I'd
Yeah,
recommend,
it's a great platform for being, petty and passive aggressive.
yes, petty, passive aggressive, and it makes it easier for you to unintentionally argue with straw men because people can't make a nuanced point. Yeah, read Cal Newport's book, Deep Work, Digital Minimalism, in a World Without Email, and learn why Twitter is bad for you and go be productive.
I still follow Ohio Meets Caucus on Twitter.
Yes, okay. Yes, except for I'm sorry, Carl. And it's not all bad. And like Twitter does have there is value from it, but I think that there's a lot of cost there, especially if someone has only ever laid out their argument on Twitter or in minute 45 of a 2-hour podcast, then I don't really consider you to have much of an argument laid out. Write it down, edit it, have someone read through it, make sure it's clear and understandable so we can actually go through it and see if it's right or wrong. Because if you just talk about it for 2 hours, it's easy to contradict yourself and use different definitions for the word power every 5 minutes for 2 hours.
Brad had to tell you he's adopted your social media policy. I don't think his microphone works.
Who has?
Brad Nold. I can't see the rest of his last name.
Okay. All good. But yeah, that's about, I'm just ranting sorry about missing last month. Life's hectic. I'm getting lazy.
You had the Tom Woods 2000. That's a good enough excuse.
Yeah, I was at Tom Woods 2000 and the Thaddeus Russell Registered University. Both were great events. Would recommend. And we're surviving 2021. It's happening.
If
But
anybody finds themselves up on the in the North Coast next month, Erie County has their meeting if you want to come.
Drew, did you add that to the calendar yet? Can you please
No, oh god damn it, yes, Mom.
Okay, I am going to send out the email on the 26th this month. I fucking swear. Sure, I sent it out on like the 12th of this month. So, Trisha, my goal is to send out the email every month on like the 20. Sorry, I get it ready on the 26th, send it out on the 28th of the month before, right? So you have that the November month email. It comes out end of October. I think I sent it out like November 14th.
But you sent it out.
I sent it out. God. This month, before November ends, the December email is going to be out. I don't care if it's empty.
Just said, hi guys, taxation is theft. The end.
Yep, that'll be it. No, I'll send it out. Okay, sweet. I'm going to turn off the recording so we can say all of the really fun, horrible shit off the recording. See y'all next month.